Real quick, the only ask I could ever have of you guys is to help spread the word so we can help more women lose body fat, build muscle, reach their goals, and feel insanely confident. And the only way we can do that is if you rate, review, and share this podcast. So, the single thing I ask for you to do is if you could leave a review. It will take you 10 seconds and it will mean the absolute world to me and may change the world of someone else. You can't be toned without both of these concepts I'm talking about. They literally go hand in hand together. Muscle growth and fat loss work hand in hand when it comes to achieving that toned look that you want and understanding what toned really even means. Muscle gives your body shape. Without it, you could lose weight, but you just end up looking like a skinnier, fatter version of yourself. That's why strength training and resistance training is so freaking important, even when your goal is fat loss. What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the Macro Hour with Nikkiey Stott, co-founder of WarriorBabe. And on this podcast, we talk about mindset, methodologies, and tactics that will help you lose body fat, build muscle, be strong, and feel insanely confident. I am your host, Nikkiey Stott, and welcome to the first episode of season 3. I am so excited. Episode number 201. And today I want to tackle one of the most common goals that I hear from women. Other than just losing weight, I hear a lot of the time, I just want to be toned. And I can totally resonate with that because at the beginning of my journey, I was like, I just want to be toned. I want to be leaner. I want to be more defined. I want, what I used to say, I was like, I want my inner personality to match my outer personality. Like I wanted the strength on the inside that I feel like I have to show on the outside with my physical body. I wanted to be more fit. I wanted to be toned. And a lot of women say this. I want to be toned. But what does toned actually really mean? So today, that's what I want to break down with you guys. And I talked about a lot of these concepts already all the time, like the science behind muscle definition, the science behind fat loss, the science behind body composition. But I want you guys to fully understand what it actually takes to get that lean, that defined, that toned physique that I feel like a lot of women like ultimately want to get there, but do you understand what it actually takes to get there? And honestly, this whole concept and this whole topic was inspired by being on my team this morning. And a lot of women come into the ecosystem of WarriorBabe and they already know our message. They understand what we stand for. They understand our methodologies to build more muscle, to be more lean, to be more defined, to lose body fat, to be toned. And so it was inspired by a conversation with the team that I actually circled back around with them later on to give them some pointers. But what came of it is like a lot of women come into our ecosystem and they make mention that they don't want to lose any weight. They make mention that they only have maybe 5 or 10 pounds to lose, but they don't have much weight to lose. And they're happy with like where the weight that they're at. And so if this woman is already interested and has fallen into our ecosystem, they already know our messaging around more muscular definition, more toned, more lean, more defined. So they have this general concept of like, if I get into WarriorBabe and, I follow what their program says, I will get to said goal, right? With being more defined. They have this assumption somewhat so coming into our ecosystem and talking to our team. So with that, like they are aiming for that specific physique or specific body composition to achieve. So I told my team in a follow-up message to them after I chatted with them and hung out with them was, okay, well, the ultimate goal to get this with the women that don't want to lose much weight is to help them understand the difference between losing weight and becoming toned. Because if they don't understand that there is a difference, then they will continue to go on their path of, oh, I don't have much weight to lose. And they'll continue to try things that, won't necessarily be in alignment with getting toned. They'll continue to try things that will just be like more in line with essentially the goal of losing weight. And you guys know I've talked about this in podcasts before, there's a difference between the two. There's a difference between losing weight and losing fat. And losing fat is what gets you toned because it decreases the body fat around the muscular build that you have, or, you're going to be building more muscle to get more toned and then decrease the body fat around it. You know what I mean? So there's a difference between the two. So what I told the team is like, let's gather their understanding. If they even know, with women that come into our ecosystem, I don't want to lose weight. Well, do you understand the difference between losing weight and becoming more toned? Because they have this goal, they're in our ecosystem and becoming more toned. So do they understand the difference? And then have they considered what needs to happen to make their muscles more toned or to make their physique more toned? Because this then opens up their relative understanding, their thoughts around this concept, and it's opening up, them to potentially receive new information that they don't yet have. And if they are, wanting and willing to consider, and they're open to focusing on a lean body, a toned body, losing body fat, rather than just focusing on, I want to lose weight and I want to lose a number on the scale, and this is all the things that I'm concerned about, then boom, then this is welcoming them into hearing the difference between the thoughts and beliefs and narratives and stories that they have around losing weight, and it's opening them up to, oh, so this is how I become more toned. I don't necessarily want to lose more weight. I felt the same way at the beginning of my journey. I was 140 pounds and I was like skinny fat. But I had this idea in my mind that I wanted to be more toned. I wanted to be more defined, but I didn't necessarily want to lose more weight. I didn't need to lose much weight. But when I dove into bodybuilding and dove into the competition world, at that point, that was giving me the understanding, education, insight, and knowledge on what it actually means to do the things necessary for me to get that type of goal, right? For the longest time, I was searching for concepts and following plans that just focused on weight. Like, I did try all the things I've mentioned to you guys and share with you guys that focuses on just slashing calories and eliminating food groups, and it just was achieving a said goal of a different number that I saw on the scale. I didn't fully understand and grasp that there was a different concept or a different strategy or a different protocol to take in order to be more toned. So that's kind of like what I want to talk about. And for those of you guys that just you don't want to lose weight, but you have this goal of you want to be more toned, there's a drastically different concept of which the strategy you will follow to get more toned is than just focusing on losing weight. So let's first talk about just what does toned really even mean? When people say they want to get toned, most people use the word tone to describe a lean body, to describe being fit, to describe being defined. They want to see muscle definition, but they don't necessarily want to look bulky. It's that lean, sculpted, I'm fit, I have muscle look that so many women are after and that they want, right? That was exactly me at the beginning of my journey. And I even said the things to my coach. I was like, I don't want to look like a man. I don't want to become too bulky. I wanted to be fit. I wanted to have an aesthetic figure. I wanted to look sexy, I wanted that defined, like Rosie the Riveter, strong type of feeling. You know what I mean? So when people say they want to get defined or they want to get toned, they think lean, fit, defined. That's the way that the word that they're using to describe the body that is lean, fit, and defined. But here's the truth. Getting toned is a combination of two things. It's building muscle and it's losing body fat. You can't have a toned physique without muscle. When you lose body fat, you're revealing the muscle underneath. So if you're focused on losing weight without building muscle, you might end up looking like a skinnier, fatter, softer version of yourself rather than a lean and defined version of yourself. And that's why the term toned can be so misleading. It's not about shrinking down or doing endless reps with light weights or doing tons and tons of cardio or what people think like losing weight. It's not, the term toned does not mean I'm losing weight. It means that you are achieving the right balance of muscle growth and fat loss. So when people come into our ecosystem well, I don't want to lose weight. Okay, well, hold up. What does that mean to you? And also, what does toned mean to you? Because toned to somebody can be like, it can mean a variety of things. It can mean losing weight, but that's not the truth. In the reality of things, you're getting toned, you're not necessarily losing weight, you're losing body fat. You're building muscle up and you're decreasing the body fat around it. So, hey everyone, real quick, this episode of the Macro Hour is brought to you by Paleo Valley, one of my go-to brands when it comes to fueling my body with high quality, nutrient-dense products. If you're serious about burning fat, building muscle, you know how important it is to get enough protein. Paleo Valley's 100% grass-fed beef sticks and protein powders are the perfect solution. They're packed with clean, high-quality protein to support muscle growth, aid in recovery, and keep you feeling full and energized throughout the day. Their beef sticks are a great snack option, especially for those busy days when you need a quick and easy source of protein. Plus, their protein powders blend seamlessly into smoothies, post-workout shakes, or even your morning coffee, making it easier than ever to hit your protein goals. And their protein is so delicious, and I don't just say that because of the partnership. It's actually so freaking good. So right now, you can get 15% off your order when you go to paleovalley.com/themacrohour and use the code THEMACROHOUR at checkout. Take your nutrition up a notch and fuel your body for success. You will love their products. I just want you guys to think about that a little bit differently, especially if you are the person who's like, I don't want to lose weight. I'm happy at 130 pounds and being 5'6", but I want to be defined. I want muscle and I want to be toned. Okay, cool. Well, yeah, we're not going to go down the normal strategy of you losing weight or what you think losing weight means or what you think other programs have told you to do to lose weight. That's not the protocol we're going to take, because you will, if you just focus on losing weight, you will just end up looking like a skinnier, fatter version of yourself. That's exactly what I did in the trap that I was caught in. Like for a year and a half, I was following all of those things that said I would lose weight, but I just looked like a skinnier, fatter version of myself. And I got to the point where okay, cool. I was happy with the way my physique looked. I was losing the weight, but I wasn't in that tone version of what I wanted to be and what I thought that I could accomplish and that I wanted to accomplish. And I didn't know that there was a totally different protocol and strategy that you were supposed to do and implement, which was you can't be toned without, you can't have a toned physique without having muscle. And so if you are losing weight without building muscle, then you're just going to end up looking like a skinnier, fatter version of yourself, right? And all those programs, I'm just trying to drill this home in a couple of different ways. I found myself trying to explain this in different ways so that you guys fully grasp it. It's like those programs that are out there that you focus on just losing weight. You're focusing on losing muscle at the same time. That's what I'm trying to say too as well. It's like when you lose weight, you lose muscle. When you lose body fat, you preserve lean muscle and you decrease the body fat around that muscle. So that's what toned really means. You getting toned is a combination of two things. It's building muscle and it's losing body fat. And when you say the word toned, what you mean is you want to look lean, defined, and strong and have that sculpted body composition that many women are after, but you can't have a toned physique without muscle. And when you're focused on losing weight, without building muscle, you're going to end up like a skinnier, fatter version of yourself. So a lot of the protocols that are out there that focus on losing weight aren't focused on you building muscle. They're focused on you losing weight. If you follow protocols like what we offer at WarriorBabe and our methodologies and this whole thing, I'm trying to bring this to a head so that we can move on to the science of things. And maybe you guys are already there and I'm just totally beating a dead horse and I'm just regurgitating what my point to get across, and maybe the point has already gotten across, but point blank, you have to be building muscle to be toned, but you won't get bulky. It's just women don't have, I already debunked that in an episode a while ago. You guys can find that and listen to it. Being toned, being strong, having muscle is such a beautiful aspect of our ability as a woman to do that to our body composition. So that's all I wanted to say. Focus on building muscle, decreasing body fat. That's what's going to get you toned. Don't focus on the concepts of losing weight. That's that's not the strategies you need to be following. And if you don't want to lose weight, but you want to be toned, you got to focus on building muscle. You got to focus on fat loss. And that's what I want to talk about right now. So let's dive a little bit deeper into the science behind what's happening when you work toward that toned body. Like, to truly understand what it takes to achieve a toned, defined, lean look, you need to understand the fundamentals of muscle growth and the fundamentals of fat loss, because both of these processes together are the way that you will get a toned physique. So at the core of getting toned, at the core of building muscle, this is what gives your body the shape and the definition that you want to see. Muscle growth, that happens when your body or when your muscles are exposed to stress or to tension, right? And that's typically done through strength training. They adapt by growing stronger and bigger, and they adapt to that stimulus so that you can have that whole process happening in your body when you do strength training. When you put your body under stress or you put your body under tension for extended periods of time, for days, for weeks, for months on end, for even years, and you're doing that through strength training, that's going to get your body to adapt to growing bigger and stronger, and for you to having the type of muscle that you want on your body. How that happens at a deeper level, and I'm kind of I've talked about this so many times in previous episodes, and y'all, I got a comment or a review. My friend, thank you for leaving this feedback, because it's really took into consideration how I planned out season 3. And I welcome and appreciate all the feedback that you guys leave in those reviews. And I read those reviews all the time. But the comment was good, not great. And because I'm repetitive in my episodes, I'm repetitive for a reason. I'm repetitive because, what's that saying? I as a coach for 8 years, what I found to be one of the key aspects of a transformation process is constantly repeating myself over and over and over again. Because when I share information, you guys listening, or even the women that I've coached listening, may be hearing me, but they're not fully hearing me, because they're somewhere along their journey where they're not ready yet to receive the information that I'm saying. And so I've constantly always repeated myself over and over, or have twisted it like I kind of did with making sure that you guys understood what tone really means a couple minutes ago. I have framed it in different ways so that it's coming to an understanding that you will listen and hear, and most importantly, understand. And then be able to, when I know it's been received and understood, is you guys will be able to go leave this podcast or leave a coaching experience with me and be able to repeat it afterwards in your own words and in your own understanding. And when somebody can repeat something back, that means that they do understand it and they know it. So that's why I repeat myself a lot of the times in these episodes. But thank you. I appreciate that feedback. So one being how this whole muscle growth happens, and how when your muscles are exposed to tension and exposed to stress, and it helps to adapt them to grow bigger and stronger, which a part of you wanting to be more toned, it's the fundamentals, it's muscle growth and it's fat loss. But basically, when you work out at a deeper level, when you engage with lifting weights and resistance training, you are creating, what I've said many times, micro tears in your muscle fibers. And that damage that you are creating and that stress that you're putting under to those fibers is basically so important for your growth, because your body responds by repairing those tears during the recovery period. And that's where you start to build more muscle and grow more muscle and become more toned. So basically how I break it down for you guys to understand that is when you work out inside the gym, you are breaking down your muscles. You're not necessarily build them, you're breaking them down. You build them and repair them in the 24 to 48 to 72 hours after you work out. So after your body goes through this protein synthesis, it goes through this damage and repair, then that leads to bigger, stronger muscles over time. So at a deeper level, that is how muscle growth happens. Another deeper level, which I've talked about many times on the episodes, is progressive overload. The role of protein. And then hormones and growth, which I'm not going to get too into the weeds with because I've talked about it so many times in these episodes. And I just want to drill the point home of like what toned actually really means. And as I already said, all the things of what it actually really means. It also, but at a deeper level, it means you have to put your body into these environments. You have to strength train. You can't get toned and have more muscle and change your body composition by going to like boot camp classes or dance cardio classes or the solid core. Like you can do those things. Don't get me wrong. Like I don't want that to be taken the wrong way in F45. Like you can do those things and incorporate it into your plan if you love doing them. But majority of your time needs to be focused on like routine strength training workouts, meaning like you're going in and doing a push, pull, leg day. You're doing split body workouts. You're doing full body workouts. You need to put your body under the stress of what strength training can offer and the tension of what strength training can offer in order to build muscle. You need to focus on progressive overload. You need to be playing around with your reps, your sets. And these are all of the things that we put into place in WarriorBabe. These are the foundations of our methodologies, which is solely around, okay, you want to be toned, you come into our ecosystem, and this is the goal that you want, cool, then this is a strategy we're going to take. We're going to put you into strength training, and majority of your whole programming with us is devoted to strength training. If you want to do those other classes, have at it. But 80% of your workout protocol should be strength training, and 20% can be what you love. It can be dancing, can be Pilates, it can be running, it can be whatever you want. But if you want, the ultimate way to build muscle is by doing strength training. Okay. On the other side of the equation, to reveal the muscle that you either have already worked so hard to build, right? If you already are coming in, I've talked into previous podcasts about this, like in order to start to do the fat loss phase and you're putting yourself into a little bit of a cut, or maybe you're a maintenance, like you should already have a solid foundation of muscle. Because that's how you're going to get that toned look you want. If you don't yet have a solid foundation of muscle, then you need to really put the effort and time into working to build that muscle. And you can do that. You can do that now. You can do that at 40. You can do it at 45. You can do it at 50. You can do it at 55. Like I've seen women, I actually just saw one this morning, and I think I'm going to have her on the podcast. I'm going to save the name, but one of our coaches shared this transformation. And she's 75 years old. And so the team already knows who I'm talking about. But she has like pipes as biceps. And in her before picture, you can't see that. So she probably already had she built it up within our program, or she had the muscle definition she had the muscle underneath of her fat. And with our protocol and our methodologies and our strategies, we decreased the body fat around it and preserved her lean muscle. And now she's like, dude, she's the most ripped 75-year-old. She probably even beats Train with Joan. I would put her in a close competition with that one there. She looks incredible. And I think I'm going to try and get her on the podcast. So she will definitely, hopefully be a guest in the future. But essentially, the other side of the equation is fat loss. Okay. You need to reduce a layer of fat covering the muscles. And you could be 100 pounds overweight, but yet still have muscle mass underneath of you. So it's just about like, this is where fat loss comes into play. It's just the process that it hinges on one simple principle. And shout out Jordan Sayat, because he drills this one home on his Instagram. It's like women, like, how do I get rid of fat arm, or the tricep fat, or the fat arms, or the bat wings, or how do I get rid of like the menopause? Creating a calorie deficit. Okay, it was a little side or I went off on a little tangent there, but fat loss comes into play. So when you want to decrease the body fat covering, like again, if you have 100 pounds to lose, but you probably have some muscle mass underneath of that, it's just about trying to hold on to that muscle mass and then decreasing the body fat around it. So anyway, what comes into play there, and I've talked about this multiple times on podcasts already, but one being a calorie deficit, meaning that you have to consume fewer calories and macros that you need to maintain your current weight. And this is broadly speaking, because somebody who may not need to lose weight, but wants to be more toned, back to that person at the beginning of the podcast I was talking about, you may not need to go into a calorie deficit entirely, maybe a little bit, but you just more so need to clean up your nutrition and balance out your macronutrients to give your body more of what it actually needs to function and fuel properly, to put your body into that state of, oh, we're eating this way, so I'm going to start to lose body fat. So it taps into stored fat to make up for the energy shortfall that you could get from a calorie deficit, but also that you could just get from the energy expenditure that you're putting yourself in during your strength training workouts. So you could be at maintenance. Like, I don't want it to get confusing, because I know I've talked about maintenance and fat loss and calorie deficits, and I'm bringing calorie deficits into play here. Broadly speaking, that's how you would want to implement it. But majority of you guys can just be at like 10% below your maintenance calories and still allow for the fat loss process to happen while preserving as much lean muscle as possible. So you don't want to go too much far into a deficit. You don't want to go too far away from your maintenance calories. And it's so individual for everybody. So don't try and get off this podcast and be like, Nikkiey said I need to go into calorie deficit, and you slash all your calories. It's like the littlest point away from your maintenance calories to facilitate this little shift that your body's like, oh, she's not giving me as much food as I once had before. And it's not that much different in the percentage difference. That makes sense. It's just taking a little bit away of food, and your body recognizes we're not getting this energy anymore. So I need to go in and tap into other areas of where I would get this energy from, which is fat. And then this is how, as long as you're giving your body enough of the right macronutrients, it will hold on to the muscle and it will drop the body fat and use the stored body fat to drop the body fat to make you more defined. So, quick break. If you're finding this episode helpful so far, it would mean a lot if you could hit pause for just a second, leave a quick rating or a review, or share it with someone who could benefit from it. Your support helps more women discover these tools to build muscle, lose fat, and feel confident. Thank you so much for being a part of this journey with me. I hope this is all making sense. So then there's not just like, the what phase you're in for the fat loss to happen. There's also the hormone factors that come into play for fat loss. I think it's important to understand that cortisol plays a factor, insulin plays a factor. Those things also need to be in a good state internally within your body in order for the fat loss process to fully take place as effective as it possibly can. If one of those two things are a little bit off, it could be a little bit harder for you to navigate that journey. But regardless, toned, right? Toned is what we're trying to go for. So if you want to be more toned and reduce a layer of fat covering your body, covering your muscles, then you need to be at the appropriate, I'm going to take out the deficit, be at the appropriate calorie expenditure on your day that's going to have your body tap into stored body fat and make up for the energy deficit that you may be giving it, or energy shortfall that you may be giving it. And that's going to lead to fat loss over time. Then I think it's just really important, which I've already distinguished on, the difference between fat loss and weight loss. The number on the scale doesn't tell you the full story. So if you're somebody at the beginning of the podcast who is like, that's me, like I don't need to lose weight, but I'm so focused on the scale, that doesn't tell you the full story. So you could be losing water weight, you could be losing muscle mass, you could be losing, your organ sizes get smaller. Like that all is reflective as weight loss, but doesn't necessarily mean that you're losing fat. The goal is to lose body fat while maintaining as much lean muscle as possible, which is why proper nutrition and strength training are so freaking important. You can't say that I want to be more toned and eat 1,100 calories on a daily basis and then 6 months later be like, well, I'm not toned. And this is like somewhat hard for people to grasp and understand, because in order for this process to really happen and to truly happen, like the methods and things that you're following now or things that you thought that you had to do in order to achieve said goal, which is mainly around the concept of losing weight, isn't what you're going to do in order to get toned. Now, some of you guys heard me say, like, you may be eating around maintenance calories. Yeah. So you could be eating 1,100 calories, but 6 months, like, you're not toned. So then what we do inside with our whole process is like, well, we know that in order for you to want to get toned and to build more muscle, is we need to have you at a little bit more towards your maintenance macros that I was talking about, or in a little bit of a percentage beneath that to create a bit of a calorie deficit, which is going to facilitate this process to happen. So one, because in order to get toned, it consists of two components. It consists of you building muscle and you losing body fat. You're going to build muscle through strength training, and you're going to decrease body fat by eating the right balance of macronutrients and where your calories should be at to facilitate that process from happening. So to wrap this all up and to just drive my point home is you can't be toned without both of these concepts I'm talking about. They literally go hand in hand together. Muscle growth and fat loss work hand in hand when it comes to achieving that toned look that you want and understanding what toned really even means. It's not like muscle gives your body shape. Without it, you could lose weight, but you just end up looking like a skinnier, fatter version of yourself. That's why strength training and resistance training is so freaking important, even when your goal is fat loss. Fat loss reveals the muscle that you've built. So you might have strong, developed muscles, like that example that I used of the 75-year-old. You might have it underneath of your fat, but if there's too much fat covering those muscles, then you won't see that lean, defined look. So you can lose weight, but you'll end up being soft or flat if you don't focus on building more muscle. And that's why strength training is so important when your goal is fat loss. Even if you're like, I just want to lose fat, okay, cool, but you have to incorporate strength training with that goal, because because fat loss is going to reveal the muscle that you've built. So 100 pounds, but you have muscle underneath, cool. Fat loss is going to help to uncover those muscles. If you are focusing on fat loss, but you don't have much muscle to reveal, then you wouldn't really be focusing on fat loss. You'd be focusing on building more muscle up so that you can, which then that talks about all the different phases that I can dive into, maintenance, surplus, whatever, so that when you do go into fat loss, then you will show all of the hard work that you've put in by decreasing the body fat around those muscles. So they work hand in hand together. And that's why it's so important that in getting toned, it requires you building muscle. It requires you reducing your body fat. So you could be in the stage, you could do building muscle and just focus on building muscle so that you can move into another phase of you decreasing the body fat while focusing on strength training to reveal the hard work that you've put in. I used to use this term saying, like, once you're done like a surplus or you're done like a bulk, it's like Christmas morning when you start to go into a fat loss, or you move into maintenance, you go into fat loss, because you're revealing all of your hard work. So it's like revealing a present. And that's essentially like the gist of it all. Like, you can't have one without the other. You have to incorporate strength training. You have to incorporate, you either like fat loss could be also like maintenance calories, but on the lower end of your threshold of maintenance calories. And also, like, I find myself kind of getting jumbled in terms of saying fat loss and maintenance, because it totally depends on the human that we're working with. So I don't want your brains to be like, oh, I have to be in fat loss and I have to be building muscle at the same time. While they coincide together, your macros could be that of which are like at maintenance calories. So it's like those terminologies could really differ from individual to individual, and what it looks like when it comes to like the ultimate play is that you are decreasing the body fat around your muscle. That's why I'm talking about fat loss. It doesn't mean I'm putting you into a phase of like cutting or maintenance. Like, those are different concepts I'm trying to navigate my verbiage around. Calorie deficit, fat loss, like those are kind of somewhat two different things. The goal and the overall thing that you're accomplishing is fat loss. Calorie deficit is you bringing your calories down just a little bit to be in like a cutting, or like you're 10% below your maintenance phase. So just to kind of clean that up, and maybe, you already understood that of what I was talking about. Just need to clear it up from my verbiage because that keeps popping back into my brain as I'm talking about all this stuff with you guys. Anyway, that's what toned really means. And like the science of being toned and what it takes to, like the strategies and protocols that it takes to have that toned look, which that toned look for many of you guys is just being more defined, being more fit, being more lean. Like that's seeing more muscle definition. That's typically when that people use that word, that's the body that you're describing. But what I've said tons of times and sure on social media is if you want like toned, and this word gets thrown around a lot, toned is you just having and revealing more muscle so that you look more fit, defined, and lean. That's it. So if you want to be toned, focus on building more muscle, focus on strength training, and focus on eating the right caloric needs for you individually that will help you to achieve that goal of being toned. All right. Anyway, said and done on this episode. Appreciate you guys, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out. Hey, really quick, before you go, I have one small favor to ask. If this episode brought you value or sparked something in you, take just a moment to hit that review button. Your rating and review make all of the difference, helping more women discover the tools they need to transform the fitness and their confidence. It takes less than a minute, but it can change the path of someone else's journey. Thank you so much for leaving that review. I appreciate you so much.